I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. Our guest today is Patty Roggeveen, who is with Richmond Great Point Properties.
Right.
And is here to give us an update on what's going on out there on Old South Road. And before we get into your actual plans for the property, which I know you've just been released and you're going to the planning board for approval.
Right.
I'm curious about a couple of things. One of them is about the site work and what you've really had to do back on that property to get it ready for development.
Well, that's actually a great way to lead in, because when Phil Paston and the crew, our team, were before the Board of Selectmen prior to the special town meeting, he mentioned then that it would take 6 months to do the engineering to get the site plan, which we'll go over in a little while, ready. And it did take 6 months, and part of that reason is because what we confront back there is not the simplest. As many know, and maybe fewer have seen, the property as it was purchased was absolutely full of stuff. Old cars, containers full of materials, things that had to be removed before we could actually make sense of any of it. We've worked really hard with Mr. Gwacky to actually get most, and you'll see a significant change, not around the office per se, but certainly in the pits. There's 2 pits out there from the asphalt plant. Both of them are now relatively clear of everything, and early on they were pretty much full of stored materials. And as well as around the other parts of the process, the property, other things have been removed and cleaned up. So that's number one. That's been very important. Secondly, we've been doing the engineering to actually fill those holes with dirt, obviously, because we can't build with the 2 holes there. And so the engineering that we've done indicates that we can actually use all the current, the property soil to fill those holes. So we're not going to have to import.
Do you have any idea how many cubic yards you're talking about?
Oh, I should know this because we did talk about it, but it's a lot. It's
sure
quite a bit. They're like 40 feet deep. I mean, they're significant. So the idea would be, out of 65 acres, we would be able to take about 2.5 feet of earth off of the entire property and fill the 2 holes. So very soon, once the property has been cleared of material, we'll be running some pretty big trucks back there just filling those holes and doing the site work.
Do you have to get approval for that from anybody?
No, that's that we can do as we go through the planning board process and the HDC process. We'll be looking to make sure that the site is prepped and ready. We'll also be putting in sewer. We've started that already. Phase 1 has been installed. Toscana has helped us with that, another local company. We have now sewer extended all the way down Gregland Avenue. We will be doing a short piece of Lover's Lane relatively soon. And then, of course, we're working on the plan with the town for the entire site. In that process, all that, again, is going to be part of what Richmond Great Point Development puts into the project. We will also be giving the town $250,000 in upgrades to the pumping station that is currently at Naushop. So the infrastructure that we'll be working on, at least in terms of prepping the site, will include other things like drainage, which haven't been worked out completely yet, the sewer, the water, all the necessary
infrastructure.
Grading and the like to make this happen. So.
What about, just back to the question of the things that were in the pits and scattered around the property, have you actually tested the soil for contamination?
Yeah, part of the due diligence before the property was purchased was actually to do that, and we
phase 1, as they call it.
I think the contamination was probably a big question, and it came back very clear, and it's partly a result of the fact that it's very sandy, and so things do percolate through. We're just grateful at this point we've now removed anything because it is very close to the aquifer.
Right.
I'm
amazed that there's no groundwater in those pits.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. But we had a completely clean bill of health in terms of the property, so we can move forward without that mitigation.
Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah.
A lot of money saved too.
Yes, exactly.
And it's expensive.
And also in terms of just moving the dirt, we were very pleased when the engineers came back and said we could do it with our own material, because if we had to import that kind of material, it would be very expensive.
The logistics of cleaning the property and so forth. Is this something Mr. Paston's done before, or was this a new experience?
I think this might be a new experience for anybody, even if they're it's a lot of moving pieces on this particular property, and every day is different, as I like to say to people about the job. There are components of it that are just, that are probably typical. Obviously, there's other sites on the island, frankly, where there's cars that have been abandoned and things of that nature. Less and less, because the property is valuable. You wouldn't want to just, it's not the best used, obviously. But I do think that this one is, while he's got a lot of experience in dealing with the building piece of it, this might be a little bit newer to him. So,
before we get into the site plan itself, I have one other question that I want to ask you, which is about the traffic plan. Have you developed a traffic plan? Has the town worked with you on that? Have they come to you and said, we've got to do something here? How's that playing out?
Well, traffic is probably the topic most people like to talk about. So I think that, we do have a plan. We hired a traffic planner. Ron Mueller has been, he's pretty well known. He's done great work before. And he's been very involved with this process as we start to go to the planning board and have the discussions. Right now, the process will become more definitive because clearly we've made a proposal. It's a little hard to talk in specifics without a site proposal, so it's kind of a chicken and an egg. So here we are with the proposal. What we've done in terms of mitigation on traffic and working closely with Ron and communicating with with Andrew Vorse, at least to let him know what we're thinking. We've looked at this in a couple of ways. First of all, our project will be phased at some level. It's not going to spring up overnight. There's a lot to it. It's 65 acres. And so beyond the cleanup, the engineering, and the site prep, the building itself will take some time. So in that process, we'll be developing a move of the current Gregland Avenue, the road that you take from Old South Road to Parcel Plus or back further to Cape Cod Express. That's not a legal road. So we and it doesn't line up correctly.
Another one.
Yeah, it doesn't line up correctly for Naushop either. If you've ever tried to make that right or left, it's difficult. So that access road will move further down past the brick house, or as people define it, and it will kind of sit between, and we can see on the map in a minute, between the entrance and the exit of Naushop. Okay, so then, and we will develop that into a larger entry and exit way with turn lanes for the right and to the left along that boulevard. So that'll be helpful. Number one. Number two, we're going to have a
Don't turn lanes require town meeting approval now?
No, I don't think so.
Remember when they were banned?
What was that, turn lanes or?
Turn lanes, yeah.
No.
Because the question came up about a turn lane on what is now Airport Road, was then Macy Lane.
Okay.
And there was a discussion about it at town meeting, and it was, now whether it applies to all or just that one, I don't know.
Right. Now, I don't know the specifics, but I do know we've not had anybody bring that to our attention, so I'm going to
Well,
say...
they sometimes don't.
I'm going to say probably not, but we're just entering the process.
yeah.
So, but we will also create a left turn lane on Old South Road. I mean, one of the issues that we find with Old South Road is the fact that traffic stalls, backs up because people are waiting to make that left-hand turn.
Right.
So
On both sides of the road.
on both sides of the road. The good news for us is we can use our own property. We've got enough land that we'll be able to widen that section of Old South from about Lover's Lane on down to almost the other end of
Down by almost the airport.
yeah, not quite that far yet,
but almost. yeah.
almost. We'll be able to create a third lane so that people can access on and off. And we believe with our traffic planner that will take care of the increased volume that we will see from the development itself. So in the short term, those are the plans. I can show you a little bit more. There's right in lanes, there's some of those things on the plan. So there are little tweaks too that help kind of the flow of things.
Let's take a look at the plan. This is a plot plan, and this is Old South Road, right?
Yes.
And so this is the entrance to, or the exit from Naushop, right?
Correct. Yep.
So the entrance to the property will be moved down here is
Yes.
the plan.
Yes.
Instead of here approximately where
Right.
it is now. And so within the road, does it show the proposed turning lanes?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It's not marked out, at least
All right, but
there.
there would be enough space added to the pavement of the road along here
Yes.
to add a turning lane.
Right.
Both left and right, presumably it'll be right from here
Right.
and left from here.
And we also have a right turn in over here, so we're adding that as well as connecting to Lover's Lane, so after the liquor store. So there'll be a little tweaks and mitigation, so the flow within this footprint will be will be helped. This is the new Shepley that you see under construction, and our new apartments that are currently under construction are right here.
How many units are there?
There's 28 units there of studio, 1 and 2 bedroom, and they will be late fall, will be available, and we have had a lot of interest in that.
I'm sure you have.
So the plan itself, it's exciting to unveil. We'll be doing some minor buildings, as we call them, very much in character with Old South Road.
Retail space?
Retail space.
With housing upstairs or something? Or
No,
not?
single
No.
story.
Okay.
So they're not going to be
It'll look like the
imposing.
market that's there now and
Right.
so forth at the corner of Lover's Lane.
Very much in keeping with what's there now. We actually have 2 tenants already. We can't announce them yet, but they're local businesses. We're looking to attract local businesses for these areas. Nothing, new, nothing from off island, and the retail spaces will, consistent with the Naushop Crossing Plan and the master plan that was passed in 2009, will start, the retail footprint here and join the other retail.
With the parking behind.
The parking behind, correct. So from there, we also have a section of single-family lots that we will have for sale, and
So you'll sell the lot, not the house.
correct.
Okay.
All right, and then we have 220 or so apartment units that will be here in 40 buildings. What we were looking to do with the apartments, very much modeled after the apartments that are now going to be under construction at Gregland, we wanted to kind of create a campus feel. As you can see, a lot of footpaths between the apartments. The parking is not necessarily lined up right in front of the apartments in most cases, and ample parking so that if there's visitors and the like, they won't be all over the roads. So we've done a real important layout here as far as keeping this, and we'll be managing it, but keeping it in a way that's attractive and doesn't get sloppy. So another addition is this little building here is kind of a community center green space at the entrance. We'll be looking to at least set aside property for a future meeting house of some sort for the community's use beyond this community, likely. But the idea would be to have these roads so that there's nothing straight away about them. They all kind of meander through the property, and they all the homes that are currently on Evergreen and Daffodil Mayflower will be asking to flip to now face into the new subdivision. So there is, like I said, an opportunity here for about 320 more living units to go on.
Beyond the apartments? I'm sorry, beyond the apartments?
Well, 220 there and 100 here.
Right,
So
320.
Yeah.
So between this, which is 28, and this is 220, you're going to build about 248 apartment
yes,
units.
yes, we are.
All 1 and 2 bedroom?
And in this case, we have a 3rd bedroom. That's what this little bump out is, a single-story 3rd, and studios. And we found a lot of interest in studios. It's very interesting. Of these apartments, not the Gregland, but these are part of the agreement we have with the town, there'll be 220 apartments. 25% of those will be affordable. And I did the numbers, they're in my purse. I think it's 50-some. So they'll be on the state's, according to the state scale, which is a 80% median income.
On the market rent apartments, what sort of rents are you talking about for the one, and well, even the studios and on up? Yeah, you may not have set them in concrete.
We haven't set in concrete, partly because we're waiting to see what mitigation, what the
Yeah.
town will require in terms of a business plan. And like, right now, we're looking for studio around 1,300, a 1-bedroom like 1,800, a 2-bedroom about 2,300. So very, very competitive. These will be brand new. All will have washers and dryers, all the fixtures, air conditioning, sprinkler. I mean, it's going to be basically not just an addition of product on the market, but product that's safe and reliable, and nobody will sell.
I don't know if you can, but are you going to try to, as much as you can, assure that these are going to be used year-round rather than seasonal rentals by employers coming in and saying, "I need 10 more units to house my summer people"?
Right. These rental units will all be required to have a year-round lease. So there's no 9-month leases, there's no short-term leases. We are talking with local businesses, we've been approached, who have asked us if they could rent a series of them, but again, they would have to be year-round. So that balance is going to be struck, but we're going to have the company itself will rent the apartment and be responsible for, you know, the activity that goes on there. So these are not going to be short-term kind of places. These will be homes. For
No,
sure.
well, I was thinking, though, it might be worth it to some company to come in and say, it's worth us to pay this year-round rent to have these places
Absolutely.
for people in the summer.
We've been approached by all the, you could name the players, about just that. What we'll do, though, is insist that those leases go to that company so that the company is responsible. Right. So that we don't wind up in a situation where we have a tenant that we can't manage. All of our tenants will have thorough credit checks. They'll go through a process that will basically help us guarantee that this neighborhood will remain a solid and you know, productive neighborhood.
Just quickly on the houses, are some of those going to be affordable according to the state standard as well?
Yes, we, in our deal with the town, again, this is not the 40B, but it mirrors it. What we did is we came up with a formula. 25% of the 100, so 25 homes, will be affordable, and 25% of that 25% will be affordable by Nantucket standards. So while the 75% affordable will still retain the state median income and can be counted for Nantucket on our index, 25 or 6 buildings, 6 homes, 6 lots will be Nantucket friendly, which means that if you're a teacher and a fireman and you're married, you can be eligible for one of those. It's 175% of the median income. What we heard a lot was after Article 53, people felt that what they wanted was to make sure that local families that may be beyond the 80% median income had a shot at a place to live, or ownership of a home, I should say. So we did that, and I think it's going to be an interesting model for us. Now, those 6 units can't be counted, but the Board of Selectmen was very strongly supportive of that as a remedy for this other group.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I just hope it ends up being mostly year-round housing and not even the non-affordable part.
Right.
It ends up. I know you can't really control that to any great extent, and certainly after the first sale, you can't control it at all.
But we're doing things, I think, that will basically help us outreach to the local community. People are aware. People are coming by a lot. Like I said, we got a couple, 150 or so applications for the 28 units. Every single person on that in that pile was was on island already. So I think, we've already set a tone, and I do think that we can retain it. Some of our cost mitigations that we're sort of working through, we own an asphalt plant. And that was one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the cleanup. It's actually able to run. So
it's functional still.
It's functional still.
It's good news on a lot of fronts.
So we will be in the business of helping ourselves there. The engineering will be done so that we can keep these things and the bottom line at a place where just the rents I talked about can be realized, and we think that's very important.
So you're going to sell asphalt to other people too?
We might. It'll be a new thing on my resume.
Well, you always need to expand your resume.
Exactly.
Patty Roggeveen, thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
and
Dan.
good luck to you with this effort with the planning board and so forth.